election systems are the largest piece of critical infrastructure that the state deploys. It's particularly on a reoccurring basis. And it's baffling to me that even now, not only the state of Georgia, not just for Democrats or Republicans, but every single person that's running for Secretary of State, there's no one that actually has a background in cybersecurity or in critical infrastructure systems. And I'm not sorry to say that if we truly believe that elections is part of our critical or part of our cornerstone of our democracy, and that it is part of our critical infrastructure, then why are we not electing people to office that actually has background and expertise in that? We all cried foul, right, when we had a head of EPA that did not believe in environmental protections. We cried foul when you apply, you appoint someone over, the forestry who believes in clear cutting, and cutting off top of mountaintops. But we don't think about the aspect of, particularly when we have a time and age such as now where we see what Russia's doing. The company I work at right now, where I head up cybersecurity, was hit by the People's Army of China several years back. I mean, there are real threats that are out there, and now we have domestic threats that are afoot, right? Not only domestic from what we see on TV and what's covered in the news, but also threats of insider, what I would call insider threat, right? When you have someone like Steve Bannon talking about, local election boards and how you have to take over. So when whatever we're doing doesn't turn out the way it needs to be, that there are people on the inside that can make sure justice is done. We are in a very, very scary point in time now, and my role in running is to, at the end of the day, ensure that we have fair, free, secure, and effective elections. And that's really what this is about.
We're speaking with Michael Owens, candidate for Secretary of State in Georgia. Obviously, early voting has begun. How are things looking at this point? Obviously, leading up to Election Day, two very well-known candidates at the top of the ticket could be very beneficial. It seems that the Democratic Party, at least in Georgia, is much more united than the GOP is. There definitely is, somewhat of a civil war going on, but the GOP has proven time and again that when it comes to the general election, they will unite. So what's sort of the consensus right now, especially regarding the primary, and then obviously as we move along towards the general?
Sure. I mean, from the Republican side, if you guys seen any of the debates that's gone on here in Georgia in the last week or so, it's a race to the bottom, right? It is Trumpism in full effect, and that is what kind of still dominates that side and what's going on. And look, I'll go for it. Go right ahead, because I truly believe that the people of the state of Georgia wants people in office that have a clear intent on what they want to do to truly help the people and the businesses of this state. And as long as Trump continues to be, in play, as long as he continues to exert himself, I think it gives us a great chance. Look, you guys mentioned earlier, let's not forget whether it's the Democrats or we just talk about the people as a whole. Georgia did turn out for Joe Biden in 2020. In 2021, we did elect, the first African-American to the Senate. We did elect the first Jewish person to the United States Senate from the state of Georgia. So, the wind is still at our backs, right? The people are still motivated here. There's still, and then of course, Stacey Abrams comes back onto the scene, right? Not like she ever left really, but, as a candidate. Make no mistake about it. I mean, I think that the pundit talk around this is that, Republicans will line up and they will do what they need to do. But they just lost 3 statewide elections in the state. And we have not given up a single ounce of energy. And obviously with their infighting they're having, only continues to give us, more of a chance. Now, one thing that we will see from the Democratic side, unlike many years in the past, is, man, there's a lot of Democratic candidates that are running for office. Which is great. I mean, we've seen an uptick every single year, probably since around 2014, I would say. But this idea that we can win statewide now without being a Republican is something that's very appealing to a lot of people. And it's something that, quite a few candidates have had. So we do have a lot of really good people running at, for statewide office this year. I'm a little biased when it comes to Secretary of State's race, but we have a lot of really good candidates that want to do good work, and I think they're in it for the right reasons.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the things that when you were talking about like security that I know from with the electoral process is it's such a for-profit commodified industry, and those machines and the contracts for the voting machines, that's a little concerning to me, because what they claim is that because it's proprietary, we don't get access as voters, as our county does not get access to what the mechanisms to even evaluate, to test them. You're not given access to that because it's patented, private information.
Right.
And so there's no way, like there's no accountability. I feel like the idea that there is a profit middle person in our election process, like that is again one of those things that should not have a profit motive in it. And I think that there is one.
And Jen, this is probably the defining reason as to why I'm running for Secretary of State. As far as my career goes, this has been my life work. Last year I was named one of the top 100 cybersecurity professionals in the world. Kind of taking us full circle in 2018 when Russia had invaded Crimea, right? And they were in Ukraine before. I was one of 16 cybersecurity professionals to actually go to Ukraine. I was in Kiev, right? We had a global cybersecurity summit to talk about that. We also had some closed door sessions with the Ukrainian government about what we could do to stop the Russian incursion, right? And shutting down their electrical grids and interfering in their election systems and government websites. So I understand this work intently. I understand the challenges that come up when you talk about election machines. But I also understand that as someone who's done this work, that we really need to be looking at the end-to-end, what I call the end-to-end ecosystem of voting, and ensuring that we have safeguards and we have the necessary controls built in from the time you register, right, all the way until the time that those reports are actually reported, right, till the reports come out. And every step along the way, there should be controls in place, people, processes, and tools, and making sure we're doing those right things. And which is why it's important, when I talk about maybe some of the more nuanced aspect of this, which you did touch on. But again, I work in this world. It's not nearly as black and white as people like to make it out. It's like, oh my gosh, we can't vote on these machines because they're hackable. Okay. You want to know the only machine in the world that's not hackable? The one that's not plugged up, the one that's turned off. Mm-hmm. The reality is every machine is hackable to some extent. The world that I live in is about managing and reducing risk to ensure that we're putting the safeguards in place necessary that we have to do. And that is what we have to focus on, right? It's not a black and white issue. It's not a 0 and 1 binary choice that we have. What we have to do is have people in places that understand how to adequately be able to safeguard what we're doing. And again, like, it's not just the machines, right? It's the policies that's in place. It's the tools that's in place. And, and I will segue a bit for this too, because a lot of the policies that we have in place, and we haven't used the terms voter suppression or subversion yet, but it's fair to, and I think it absolutely is, because in my world, it's not all from a Jim Crow 2.0, perspective, even though, look, this is Georgia. We still have a lot of that going on. There is no doubt, right? But I equated two things. Part of it is good old voter suppression. The other part of it is just incompetence, right? That we have not put the time and effort into, whether it's research, whether it's security, whether it's updating the policies. Several years ago, we had the night on the eve of the elections, we had a poll book, several poll books that actually got stolen. If you guys aren't familiar with what poll books are, they're a little tablet, look like iPads, that carry all the voter information. So the policy was the election managers show up the night before, they get these, and so they can take them directly to precincts in the morning. Well, someone stopped by the grocery store on the way home. Lo and behold, they come out, they're all gone. Someone thought they got an early Christmas present. There was a bunch of tablets laying there. Now, obviously, the person that stole these did not know what they got, right? And probably found the first trash bin that they could find once it happened. But the point about it is that we have to modernize the entire system. And too much of the focus gets put just on the machines. I'll give you another example of how we can use this to expand access to the ballot and to make it easier for more people to vote. There is absolutely no reason anymore why people should not be able to go to any election or polling place in the state and be able to vote.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.